Okay, so I guess I'll start off with this one. This is new. I just finished her right before the con. That's 2014. This is 2008.
Wow.
This is like a bulldog by comparison. They both have the fully articulated jaws that strap on separate. They're kind of a pain to wear, and you gotta keep an eye on them. You can glance down, see if it's crooked, but they do talk wonderfully. But like Grub's Grizzly here, he got it changed just because it was a pain for him. And because he wears glasses, it means the jaw had to be even longer, so it was even more unruly because it had to be, you had to have this much room inside, so you had to have that much extra room on the jaw. So in the end, we just tinged it, which is something I do. You want to come up here? That's fine. I guess I could go ahead and talk about you. In this case, the only things I didn't do myself were the paw pads. Those were from Magpie Bones. And then these were resin bear claws I got off of like some replica site. And I dremeled them down to size. We made the toe claws a bit smaller in the long run on the edges because they kept breaking. And and then these are the discontinued Dream Vision Creation bear paws. She has different ones now. These are ones that I custom ordered from her. The new ones are thicker, a little different shape. And this is one of the few cases, like this is an earlier suit. This is like when I was like, oh, let's just use more parts. So this is an actual bear jaw set from Van Dyke's. And a rare case with these eyes is I did the printed paper method. And it worked. While it works really well, I'm kind of more of a fan of doing the actual hand painted, just so they're more one of a kind. But I do still like them. It brought up the detail well. And I did still paint the irises on a computer program and then printed it out and stuck it on with clear paint. And another reason I kind of quit doing this method is that whatever you stick them on with, whether it be a clear glue resin or clear paint, you risk bleeding. And it's really awful when you take these eye blanks, which this size, it's like $20 for the pair, and you've permanently attached a bleeding piece of ink paper to them, and that just sucks. And paint, you've got time, you can scrape it off if you mess up. The nose is handmade with clay, and this guy's actually pretty skinny under here. He's padded. He's all fluff with a modified sumo suit.
What do you mean by clay, like sculpting?
I use Delight paper clay. I adore it. As long as you seal it, it's waterproof. It's very lightweight, and it doesn't break unless you snap it. So you have to apply a good amount of force, and usually it has an armature underneath, so if you snap it, the clay will break around the armature, so you won't lose the tip. You can glue it down before it becomes catastrophic. Resin's strong, but if it impacts hard enough, it's going to shatter. It or crack, and it happens.
Have you ever tried Instamorph friendly plastic?
I have heard that. Is that like the one that you heat bend or water heat bend?
Yeah, you
I heard that gets brittle. It lasts 2 or 3 years, but then it's like catastrophic failure, is what I've heard. So I avoid it. But I do love the paper clay. It's light, it's clean, it weighs like nothing. Like his elk antlers, they look huge, but they don't even weigh a pound. Okay, so who's next? Okay, we're still waiting on Trigger. You have to go?
I have to check out.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
At least I get to talk about you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yay.
Yeah, you can go that way. There we go, there's a trigger head. UBC. Yep, my articulated jaw. Quick close. The Beastcub suits want to go ahead and head this way. My assistant, when he gets back, will take a group picture, and then I'll keep talking about all you. I love my most wonderful stand in the world, my flower pot hanger with a wad of paper bags and duct tape. And you kind of missed it, but my heads are on a baseball hat, so I have glasses. My head just slides right in. I cinch the hat, and I don't have to worry about my glasses getting smashed. I put them on, and then start talking. These are a rarity. I haven't done them for customers yet, but I have fingertip gloves. These are 6 years old. They're still going. Okay, everybody here?
Everyone
Okay.
get comfortable. Scoot together.
Here, you can
you tell me how to break the spell? The darkness ever present in my mind. Are the shadows alive? I can't tell. Are there puzzle pieces I am meant to find? Never felt so helpless nor so trapped. I can't escape, I'm drowning until I look up in the sky enraptured, for you have found me. And this night I know I'm by your side. And this night I know I don't have to hide. Luna, you have guided me home. Luna, you have calmed my fears. Princess, I give my thanks.
Like an awkward little thing. Okay, so this one stayed up here, so I'll talk about this one. These are neck vision heads. I adore doing neck vision heads. It's something that I've been doing extravagantly lately. Because why I like them, this is your whole viewport. So you put your hand up like this, and you can see just about everything. You have peripheral, you don't have the blind spot in the middle. You have good ventilation. There's a fan up inside, it blows down. You just put a little strip so it doesn't blow like directly on your nose, so it circulates everywhere. And it's great ventilation, great vision, makes you look really tall, makes the wiggle ears easy to do, makes just removable horns easy to do, and it dehumanizes the look. It also allows you to do a perfect hooved animal shape. You don't have to have the fat face with the forward-facing eyes to fit a human head inside, because the head's in the neck. And he's one of the first that I've done. In fact, his started with vision out the nose. That was terrible. That was tunnel vision. You put your fingers out here like this, and imagine looking out that all day. No. And then I was like, we're changing it, because he was so blind. I met him at the, picked his suit up at a fantasy fair, and we were like this the whole day, so he could get around. That's our question.
What material do you use to make the mesh?
The mesh, this was black vinyl stuff that I had, but now I just go ahead and use the buckram. The easiest place to get it is Fursuit Supplies, has the larger whole buckram. I can't seem to find it locally, nobody can. Like Joann's just doesn't carry it. They carry it's called unicorn buckram. It's thin and it's hard to color and you can't see through it very well. Yeah?
How good's the visibility through the mesh?
The mesh is pretty good. It's kind of like sunglasses.
Oh.
It dims things, but your eyes learn to phase it out pretty good. And then his suit's also a muscle suit, which is 1-inch foam carved, put in, and then I sandwich it between the fur and the backing, and then you gotta sew down between all the muscles you carved so that they stay shaped. And then it's always good to highlight them and shade them. It really helps make them pop. Like on a black suit of our trigger, I use silver because he had the silver horn. He's gonna get another suit that's gonna be black, and I'm gonna highlight it in gold. And then this again is foam. On Spoticus, I used stuffing just because it's a little more giving. Makes it a little easier to get your arms in, which in his case, yeah, his arms, he can't get out by himself. Someone's got to pull his arms. But that's because he didn't want wrinkles. He wanted a very tight suit. And he understood the stuff that comes with a tight suit. You need help. Yeah?
I've always wondered this about tall head suits like that. What do you do specifically such that someone can bend down and have the head not topple off?
Well, it doesn't. It just doesn't.
Wow.
It's just built on a baseball hat. And if you've got long hair, you do have the extra security belt of fastening the hat strap under your ponytail.
Awesome.
It prevents any front heaviness or anything like that. But he doesn't got long hair and it stays on.
Okay.
Yeah, he just has the regular balaclava underneath. And let's see what else is about you. This was I don't do clothing very well. So this is actually a tank top that I cut, and it had these really nice straps, so it's all fancy on the side. And then I got a Halloween like Egyptian thing, and I jerry rig when it comes to clothes. I can turn my sister into a unicorn, but you can't ask me to sew a perfect T-shirt. The seams will be all over the place. The seams don't matter as much on fur. They go away. They hide. Because let's see. Oh, and my trick for fingertip hooves. Where's my box? It's a spoon. It's a textured spoon covered in plastic dip and paint. It works really well. His suit's like, how, you're like 3 now? 4?
October.
You're at least 3.
October 11.
And he's not scuffed up or anything. Yeah, October 2011, and it works. So you got your little fingernail hoof off of a spoon. The only other things to talk about, I guess, would be Kanekalon hair. I get mine from I Kick Shins. His suit's getting kind of old. What I like about it is it doesn't just clump up and get terrible. It kind of gets lion mane looking. It mats into little clusters, so it still looks nice even when it's aged. I actually like it better aged in certain cases. It gets like even better. And then this is NFT fur. The stuff's expensive, very expensive. Like this little cluster is almost $5 just for this little cluster. So if you want a full suit, you're talking a couple thousand just for the fur. But the thing is, I wouldn't recommend ever making a body out of it. I've had reports that while it's hand woven and stretchy and nice, it doesn't last. Spaldicus can tell you how long his NFT suit lasted. It just doesn't last. This lasts. This was the Teddy Pooh Bear, short Teddy Pooh. This is the white fox. I know all my furs. I scare my boyfriend with how many furs I know, and then I'm like, oh, that fur's rare. I want to get that fur. Anything else to talk about? Fisher wired tape.
First.
I forget the gauge of wire, but you can get it at Amy Hardware, and it's like coat hanger wire gauge. And you twist it around each other. For a tail like this, you need at least 5 strings of it twisted around each other, and then you build a belt loop out of the ends of it. And it's got a good sway to it. It's posable. Like, I'm actually going to curl your tail up a bit more. It looks nicer. There you go. And it sways. Hers does it too. Yours is crooked from sitting on it. This is the most awkward thing about handling her suit in public is I've got to come up and touch her butt all the time because she's always sitting, and then I've got to go and do it, and it's totally boing. and people, you naturally want to come up and pet it like this, and people don't get that they're petting her butt. And one of the most adorable moments, though, was a little girl. She's like this tall, and she goes, "Mommy, it's real, it's warm, and it's breathing." So and in her case with this quad, and you need it with any quad with a long neck, you need a collar to see out of. So you have to work it in. The Gypsy Banner unicorn, I took the belly dancing belts and made a collar. In his case, since he has a shorter head, he can see out the mesh underneath the eyes. Which, while kind of visible, elephants kind of have a scent gland under there. So I figured mammoths might be kind of, hairless right there. It would make sense. And in both of their cases, their knees are jointed very similar. I'll go ahead and get into posture. If you want to go ahead and sit, or go to headless, you're good to go. Or stand this side or sit. They're just springs. Heavy gauge springs. It's got a picture of a lawnmower on it, so I guess that's what you'd normally use them for, but I put springs. And the thing is with wiggle ears, fur them first. Fur them and then mount them, because the first time I did them, I put on the blank foam ears, put them on, put fur on them, then went, that you gotta fur them first. And you want a heavy enough spring to hold the weight by itself. I originally started with a weaker spring that went around a stick, but it just sort of went like this. It didn't really wiggle, it went in a circle. To get a good wiggle, you want to just spring by itself. Yeah, you can go ahead and come up in the stilts. These will be available to try later, but you got to be careful with them. I don't want anybody falling over breaking. So their legs are jointed just like his, only those don't have the fur on them yet to keep them from bending more. It's the fur itself that keeps it from hyperextending. And here, you scoot. I'm going to get between you guys. I use the drainage pipe. It's lighter. It already has air holes drilled in it. And then this is a Christmas ornament. The purpose of this is to create a worry-free joining of the two pieces. Without it, you have the risk of it landing crooked. And if it lands crooked, it stresses the joint, and eventually it could rip the joint free, or it can compact the edge of the pipe funny and cause it to warp. So I figured out that the ball, it will always slide over the ball and join exactly how it's supposed to be. And then the end is another trick of mine. It's an oversized tennis ball you get from pet stores. You glue it in really well, and then I use the foamy sheets around the edge to secure it even further, texture it with some hot glue, and then just slam as many layers of plastic dip on it as you can manage. And it's rubbery, it's got some bounce, and it's a flawless landing, so you don't have to worry about, okay, this needs to land flat. You can land like this, you can land like that. It don't matter. And then I use gate hinges, because gate hinges are long. You have more screw room. And I E6000 them as a glue. I call it super glue steroid cousin. But so that's even stronger. And I just put this over the top as a little extra strength, since you can't screw these or you'll be scraping up your hands. And I stick everything together with clear tape, just so that you're not trying to hold things in place while you're trying to screw a round object that's trying to roll away. And then it's a wooden peg inside with this kind of foam over it for his hands, and then this is just to make sure it's smooth when I fur it. And then this is a camping mat from Walmart. They have them in stock right now. They didn't have them all winter. I was out. I went and bought 8 of them as soon as they got them in stock. I'm not going to be out of stock again. It still needs knees. The knees go on enough. Like, this is only going to open that much when it's done. So you got the knee to cover the gap when it's open. And it needs elbows still. And then the hooves are just soft mounted. These are just mounted with the fur itself. So they flip a little, because you want them to point down when you lift up. And you notice it's all gravity operated. It's all body language and all gravity. You just do a little flick in your step when you go forward. Okay, either of you too hot, either of you gotta go, or are you good?
What kind of plastic did you say that is?
The piping?
The thing on the bottom.
This,
you covered it in some sort
it's
of liquid?
called plastic dip. It's to cover tools, like replace your hammer handle.
Yeah.
It's really good stuff. I mean, this is almost like a tire. Let's look at the bottom of yours. This suit is like 2008, 2009, and it hasn't worn down yet. That's still not showing anything.
That's terrible.
And these are old. And this is also tennis ball method.
So when she's standing there, like, where is her human leg?
Her feet are flat on the ground. That's just your leg. I mean, you saw how he was standing. It's just digigrade padding like any other suit. Except you want to do a smaller knee, bigger calf, and you need butt padding unless you're a mammoth, because they have short bodies. He ain't got no butt padding. What's nice about his is he doesn't have the digigrade padding either, so his is just a touch cooler. Just a touch. Yeah, her gingham style thing. Go ahead and do it. This is what got everybody going at BLFC. So I took a long time to figure out how to do quad stilts. I've been wanting to make something that walks on all fours since I didn't even know what furries were yet. Because when I started as a little kid, it was the wrapping paper tubes. My arms fit in them, and then I was a giraffe as I run through the house. So some of my fails, my biggest fail had to be paint cans with flip-flops on top and plungers on the bottom. That didn't work. Crutches, I never got crutches to work right. And then I figured out and then I remembered back to my roots, the giraffe. You put your arms in a tube. So you have support here and here. And you're not going to twerk your wrist, because your wrist is stable inside. Wrists are important. You don't want to screw them up. And the thing is, I figured out, and then I found out that Monogasha had figured it out too. And I thought I was so original. But we both had just figured it out without knowing about each other. So, well, she had figured out joints first. And when I saw about joints, I was like, I gotta figure that out. My original horse mechanism, but this is much easier to do, and Frankie a little durable. I actually was watching Pinocchio, and I was looking at his joints, and you figured out you get a smaller tube and you join it up inside the bigger tube. But that's really tricky, because you have to cut a notch out of the back, and then you have to enforce the front, because the little tube's going to push on it, and then it's it's on a peg, so it's just weaker, and I like this better. The only advantage to the other method is you don't get that gap. But, yeah, Vera, you don't really notice the gap. I mean, it doesn't look like her legs get terribly longer when she stands up. So it works.
I just I thought I'd throw out an idea for securing the top of the hinges, since you can't use screws. Pop privets.
Yeah, I could try that. I've just been using the glue. It hasn't been a problem yet.
And I missed what kind of glue on the hinges to hold the hinges?
Basically, it's just E6000 is every Fursuit maker's friend. E6000. It's like super glue, but better.
On steroids.
Yeah, super glue on steroids. I like it. And again, these details are just that same clay that I like so much. And then her horn, and his horn, Christmas ornaments, giant icicles, instant horn. I love it. I'm down to my last 4, and I don't know where to get more. I got them like 5 years ago. Take it out. Well, yours is harder to get out because
brain dead.
His is easier. His is on a magnet. It just goes. Boop. This one, I have to go. Okay, where does the stick go? Where's the hole?
The magician. She's killing the unicorn.
Yeah, his is easier. His needs a little repair just because the magnet's loose. But yeah, his just falls off.
Oh my God,
Yeah, I've got to fix this. It's lasted for 3 years, but the mount's gone a little soft. Well, yeah, but he admits that he clocked his head pretty good to make it go crooked. And I forget it. Yeah, it's magnetic. But yeah, so he has horse option plus unicorn option. Okie dokie. So these will be available to try at the end, because if we go over the hour, we can do them in the hall or the headless lounge. Just be careful, because like I said, they don't have the fur to keep them from hyperextending. Just kind of a slow little, can I handle the pose is more like it than can I run. You're not seeing if you can run in them. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. There's nothing to keep them from bending the wrong way. But you're welcome to do a couple steps, see if you can handle the position. Yeah?
What do you use to make the eyes?
His U.S. plastic is my favorite. They're clear. And I guess I'll go ahead and pass the box of stuff around. Because I got clear ones, and I got half painted and fully painted, and some other doodads. There's some clay examples, nose, horn, some other little things. And then when it makes its way back up to this end, I'll talk about everything that's in the box. So okay, I have the suits. Are you getting hot? Do you want to be talked about so you can go if you have to? Yeah. This is the newest suit here. Her first con. Her first debut. Okay, the nose. I've got one of these in there. I do cheat and use the teddy bear nose whenever I can, because I hate making noses. And you, in particular, she liked Candy Corpse's nose. And I was like, good, because I can give you the exact same nose. Because it's a teddy bear nose, too. And I use it in cases where I need to think small with the head. Because if the nose looks too small, then I've done it wrong. In her case, since we were going for the kimono style with the Japanese suits, little nose, big eyes, cute chubby cheeks, kind of a mix between that cute Japanese style like Grady Wolf does, mixed with realism, which was new. So we did the big ears, the big cheeks, a little nose, big eyes. Her eyes light up. It has actual whiskers and painted whiskers, so it shows from a distance. This is horse hair. It's got a little hinge jaw. There you go. And then again, this is like newer Kanekalon. You can see the difference between how this is a little softer looking and his is a little chunkier looking. But I don't mind the chunky. And if you don't like it chunky, you just keep it well brushed. And then this was a rare local find. Love this fur, except when you cut it, because it's what I call the carpet-backed fur, to where it's woven more like a carpet than like a fabric. So when you cut it, the edges go everywhere. I was covered in fuzz. If I worked late in my pajamas, I had to get new pajamas, because otherwise I would be just laying in a pool of fluff all night. And
Do you wear
then,
a breathing mask?
Hmm?
Do you wear a breathing mask?
Only if I feel like it's getting airborne. It generally doesn't. And I don't use a shaver. I scissor trim everything. I don't shave. I don't like shaving. So it just falls down. If I was shaving, though, yeah, you'd have to wear a mask, because you don't want a petroleum product in your lungs. So this is all scissor trimmed. Even with short fur, I still trim it. It still needs trimming. Don't just take steel fur and think it's going to look fine. It's going to look chunky in places you need to trim it. And then her tails. Dear God, her tails. Every spot individually hand-laid. All the stripes done. Took an eternity. we worked. This was a semi-artistic liberty. She had a sheet. We changed the markings from black to brown because of the spotted fur, and I brought up ideas like making the outer tails lighter and smaller so that it's not kind of a big mass. It stands out. And because they were so heavy, oh god! When they were stuffing, I put them on, and it was just depressing. Like I knew she was gonna die. There's backache, and you'd be like walking like this. It's from the tips, and from here to here is packing peanuts. It's just a little bit squeaky, but it's not bad, and it weighs like nothing. Like I put them on with the packing peanuts, and I was like, eee! And I was happy.
Are the spots on an airbrush or?
These are hand laid with fur.
What is that?
Just a different. If you cut out each one and you put it in by hand.
Like glued in or sewed? They're all sewed?
It's sewn with glued around the edges. Just because it's such tiny seams, I like to make sure they're stronger. With these, though, I tried a new trick, and it works nicely to where you shave the spot down and then you glue in the other spot. That way you don't have tiny seams being stressed on the body. And I personally like it. I mean, it's just, you can maybe feel a little rough spot here and there, but doesn't show at all. And it's stronger that way. I like to do strong. And then the digigrade, from now on, I have one digigrade form that I use. I've carved out of foam. It gets glued on the dummy. I work around it. It comes off. But then I put a pocket pad backing in the leg and fill it with stuffing. So all my digigrade legs have the same shape. So I don't, because in the past I would carve individual foam and then put the foam in the suit. But not only was that, it was a bit warmer and not as flexible as this, because this kind of molds around your leg better, but I had to carve padding each and every time, and that's the best part on your hands. So these are squishy. I like her squishy. And then, again, the only things I don't do myself are claws and paw pads. These are the Dream Vision ones, but in her case, I custom ordered the Big Cat. So if you order Big Cat from her, it's because of me, because I didn't like the regular cat. Yes?
How do you get the pillow padding to work? That's something I can't figure out.
In my case, what I do is when it's on the dummy, you feel where the edges are, where they meet the dummy, and you trace that. And then you take your padding and you put it on the fabric and you trace that with like an extra, almost an inch, and you sew it around your line that you drew on the inside of the leg. Okay. And then I leave the tops open and you put the stuffing in. Okay. Or you can do a zipper if you like a zipper, but I don't like zippers because the pulls rub on your legs. And I haven't found any problems with the pockets unless you're in a hurry and you accidentally stick your foot in it. But I haven't had a catastrophic failure from that yet. Have you ever stuck your foot in it yet? No? Yeah, it's not that big a deal. And if I do dragon tails that are attached, you do have to do a zipper for that, just because an open pocket on a tail is a little more prone to like stuffing leaking out. But for the legs, nah, I've never had stuffing leak out or any problem like that. Yeah, you were first.
What do you prefer to do? Do you like to sew patches of fur in or airbrush? And if you do airbrush, how do you get it to what type of paint? How do you get it to not mat?
Well, the matting you solve with the slicker brush. You gotta wait for it to completely dry. Use a slicker brush. It's an animal brush, dog brush. And then you brush it and it comes clean. So you gotta work in layers and then brush it. And in certain cases, I prefer airbrushing. I'm happy with paint. So crux are for now on some. In this case, I did not want to do airbrush tail spots. I knew they were going to look faded in comparison to this. That and this kind of fur, the Promo Shag, DF Long Pile, Punky Muppet, whatever name they're selling it as, doesn't take paint very well. It works fine if you're doing gradual shading, but if you want crisp markings, they're not going to last. It just doesn't work. This stuff, though, the CR Crafts Monterey Mill stuff, it holds paint for like ever. I mean, I've touched up Taicho Ozzy once in the last 2 or 3 years. I've touched up my suit once in the last 6 years. So it's not that big a deal. Yeah, he's got a little bit of airbrush and blending. Realistic tigers, yeah, you want airbrush. Jaguars, airbrush. Anything toony, try to avoid it. It just looks better if you keep it clean. Shading, yeah, but markings, put them in by hand. Just prefer, yeah?
How did you do the hinged jaws?
The hinged jaws are unique, and I don't have an actual one to show them. Because my head's on a hat and they're not constricting of your face, I couldn't do the usual kind of like jaws because they have to touch you. So what I do is it's a peg through a hole. So it's on a peg and it swings and bumps your chin. So depending on the length of the jaw, actually I guess I could use his head as an example. Come here, I got I gotta kill you for a minute. Come here. Yes, I'm going to expose you. Show the hinge jaw. The magic is wrong. I guess I should have shown it first before I took it off, but I also only attached my ear. And if I can, I do pop the top. The neck is only attached that much, and it doesn't show. And you can lift your head. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. If you wanted to show, you could. But that's okay. Yes, no, okay. But it's on a peg, so it goes through the jaw and into the cheeks, and it's peg on the inside. You bump the jaw area. His is a little more jerry-rig because, well, it's mine and I don't care. Oh, you're getting your head.
How does it stay closed?
Yeah, it's just on a your chat. Well, ideally you want it open just a little when you're relaxed, so you can breathe easier. And if you want it closed, you go. And it closes all the way. You want it open, you go. So it works pretty well in my case. And it's not constantly touching you. It's just lightly touching your chin. I am claustrophobic. I put on the regular balaclava heads. I can't stand them. It's an instant panic. Get it off. This, however, it doesn't. The only thing that touches you is the hat. The face hovers away from you. So it's not touching you. And that's why glasses work so well in them. You just tell me. Oh, yeah, he says shave. Stubble is a little funny.
Good guy thing.
But the only thing because that's why I can do the glasses ones. You just tell me, and I will pad, instead of having the eyes glued directly to the hat, I will put in a rim of foam, and you'll have room. Like, let's see, can I get one of these? So mine's got space for my glasses inside. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, see the rim of foam right there for my glasses, so I can see. And then there's a fan inside. I normally would black out the whole muzzle on the inside, but it's mine again, I don't care. For customers, I'm perfect. For myself, eh. And these are CPU fans. I love them. As you can contest with that, yeah, put the fan on, they're much better. And the batteries last for quite a while. And I actually have someone do them for me with a disconnect. So you are not tethered to the darn thing while you're trying to put it on.
What kind of batteries it take?
Just double A's. I actually got the battery pack. I'll take it out. I brought it with me in case I wanted to go shooting straight out of the room. And then this is the other end of it. And it's just double A's, and then you hook it into this. And in my case, I put it in my pocket and run it up inside my shirt and up to my neck. In a suit like you put it in like the chest padding. You got chest padding in the tail. You make a pocket in the shoulders. Different things. You can even run it from a digigrade leg up and through, and it's not that restrictive. And I get them with plenty of cords so people can do what they want with it.
Any problems with the cords breaking with lots of movement?
The only report was furnace, but he wears his suit a ton, and we're still not sure exactly what gave way, but there's a wire somewhere that might be a little off. We're going to look into it more. But they've been pretty good for everybody else. There's been no complaints. He's gone sledding and skiing, and he's gone rock climbing, and he's got pictures of himself on a mountain, and he wears it a ton. Any other questions before I find a topic? Okay, what do I talk about now?
How did you do his trunk? How did you do his trunk?
It's a chain, a plastic chain, and then you have to individually fur each. You have the individual pieces foam along the chain, and then fur each piece individually. So it has a really good movement, and it's a little bit weighted in the end with the magnet so that it has a good sway. And it's just gravity.
Magnet?
Yeah, go pick that up.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Straight down. You look like a catcher.
Ta-da. And then for the video, I used a thread on a wire to make him move a little more. So you can puppet his trunk. And then the tusks, I kind of cheated with the tusks. They're actually from a Viking helmet. And they were ivory colored, so they were perfect. And I did the test runs to make sure kids wouldn't fall on. And his ears are springs, so they wiggle too. And this is a little wig, so it has a nicer little swirl in the middle of longer hair. Wired tail. What was that like? It's like suede toes. And the stompy feet. stompy feet are a pain to make. I'm charging extra for them from now on. After the Chinese dragon, I was like, geez, these are hard. I need to up the price a little on these. I've only he and the dragon are the only ones I've done the oversized feet on. They're fun to wear though. You just look down and you're like like a little kid walking around in your dad's shoes or something. Those are just so big. Or like my nephew said, it's like I'm Mega Man.
Did you have to shade the wig to match the fur?
Oh yeah.
How do you shade it?
You just airbrush it like any other thing. Or it's like, it looked really funny before I shaded. Even people said look better shaded. And that's like certain colors they don't make. I am going with her to LA to go shop for fur. Yes. They don't make certain colors online readily available. Long gray and long rust for custom orders. They don't make a readily available long brown. And it's really annoying. Butter yellow is impossible to find. Blue grays or mint green. It's like, why? Where are they? The navy blue was only available recently, like in the last within the last 2 years. Otherwise, you had to take royal blue and try and make it navy blue. Or like bubblegum pink is still exclusive to Fursuit supplies. Otherwise, it's really pale pink or really dark pink. And it's annoying because customers want the colors they want, and I want the colors I want, and you can't get them. And they discontinued some lately. I don't get it. Why is the champagne gone? You've had champagne fur since 2008, and now you don't have it. Why? You have all the other colors, but you got rid of champagne, and I needed champagne. I needed it. Yeah, I needed it for Kijani the lion, and I had to settle on. We had to settle on a different color, and it sucked.
So the champagne Diab.
No, the champagne, the soft teddy champagne from Sierra Crafts is gone, as is another tan. So it's all the tans are disappearing. Instead, all you got is just literally the tan, which has little flecks of black in it, and that ain't tan. That's tan with black. I don't have anybody here with rare furs on them, but I like the Kieran head in the auction. That's both of those furs are rare. They don't make those teals anymore. I have just enough for one full suit. So whoever gets that gets first dibs on a full suit. They can come to me and I'll make the body for it if they want a body. And I absolutely adore those furs, and I'll be sad when they're gone. I am a hoarder. Okay, I have enough fur to fill this room. I have racks of fur to fill this. I have 2 fur rooms. I live in a closet at the moment because my bedroom is wasted space. We moved my dresser into the laundry room, and then we made it a wall of shelves, a fur rack, and a costume rack. And there's a little pathway and my bed. I don't mind. I don't do anything in there anyway. Well, it's also what's in there is all my things. I actually didn't start. I mean, I've been making costumes in my life, but my passion for a while was fake taxidermy. So I had a unicorn almost this size, but it was paper mache, covered in fur. And what was sad about those is I was always running out of room. So as things started to look old, I would just put them outside, and they would survive as long as they survive, and then waste away. But now I get to make things, and they don't get wasted. It's much nicer because watching my unicorn crumble in my garden as a scarecrow is a little sad. And now I have this unicorn, though, and it has a human inside of it, so it's not that big all the time. It fits on a shelf at home. My house is so weird. It's just, and we have the weirdest conversations. Has anybody seen my feet? There's a spider in my head. Has any? Okay, it's like, and then there's
Tools are in the fridge.
Yeah, we have a fridge full of tools in fact. That's unrelated. And then, like, oh gosh, we had a building inspector come, and I had a quad suit dummy in the backyard. And he sort of looked at it like, what is that for? Because you have this bent-over dummy in the backyard. I have dead bodies all over my house, basically. You know, dummies just stay stuffed until I have another dummy to stuff, because it actually stays more compact than in a bag. So I'm just tripping over a dummy. I mean, there's my comfy corner that I sit in when I relax. Step on the dummy, get in the corner. It's just how it is. Anybody who makes suits knows space. Like, she knows space issues.
Yeah.
And you live with the Technicolor dust bunnies under the couch, you know? It's like, I don't own a green cat, but I have green dust bunnies. And then you're just living in fuzz all the time, and all of my clothes have paint on them, and there's paint on the floor when there wasn't supposed to be paint on the floor. And you get the weirdest things that you have to go by. Like, I use the puzzle mats all the time to make, like, these heads and stuff, and they're just like, at least puzzle mats are a little more normal. Back when I was using pool noodles for tail frames, I've learned that they don't hold up. Don't use pool noodles. I dragged a whole box of pool noodles to the front desk and bought the whole thing. And I'm just like, yeah, pool party. As I'm walking through the 99-cent store, and ours is huge, and they're in the back corner, and I'm dragging a box all the way through the store. What other weird things did I buy? You know, when you, I buy a bunch of T-balls. He's actually holding it right now. The T-balls. That's a secret for you guys. That is my Toonie eyes.
I was going to ask about that.
Oh.
Those are my Toonie eyes. They come in different sizes.
Teach you
You Rust-Oleum them. You got to do them ahead of time just so that they defume because you get they're stainless steel so they don't rust. You cover them in Krylon, thin coats at a time. You don't want to clog the holes, and then you can color them like any other mesh eyes. And they're seamless because one of the things that irked me learning how to do the eyes is you got a flat backing and then you got a flat rim and then you have this flat edge that I don't like the corners of because you can see them. That's seamless and it gets a much stronger follow effect. That's one of my little tricks for you. Just buy a bunch of them because no matter how hard you try, you are going to clog up a few of them. So just do like a couple sets at once. Because his eyes are mesh T-balls, the hippogriff and the back. And vision's really good out them, aren't they? It's like, because they're domed, you have a pretty wide field of vision. And I came up with that by myself. I'm just like, because I started with like an Easter eggs, and I was like, I need something that you can see through the whole thing. Because when you cut off the end to put mesh in it, you got flat again. I don't like flat. And like Ryo Oki, if you know my giant cabot, it's an anime one. Her eyes are the same thing, but they're this big and they're colanders. Mesh colanders, like you strain things through. And again, huge vision. It's just like two giant eyeballs. Or Gur. My Gur is also colanders. They're just bugging out because he's bug-eyed. They're not inverted. So that's so yeah.
20 minutes.
So I got 20 minutes? Okay.
20 minutes.
The box is still going around, but I guess you guys have already got them and you're about to get it. But in there is some paper clay horns on the foil armatures. It's just like if anybody uses Sculpey, you start with foil. It helps you use less clay, makes it lighter. And then I've got like a claw in there, and the nose. The nose in there is exactly like this one, because I made a paper clay mold of my nose, and then you put it in there. And I always do them last. I do noses last because then I can stick it in my little mold, and retexture it if I need to, and then make it fit the face. So I like doing my own noses. And then I've got some of the fiber optics in there, a little fiber optic thing I've been murdering. I kind of like the horsehair better. It's a little more durable, but every now and again the clear application is still better. I mean, I haven't replaced any of these, and I need to, but she's gotten a little banged up. Kids like to pull on them. I've only poked one person in the eye once, and she was short. And it was just a little moment. It wasn't like I blinded her. I felt really bad.
Good track record.
I've got a little piece of fur in there. It's a new fur Wiggles. It used to be the rarest stuff ever. You had to get it from Australia. And now Distinctive Fabrics has it. And I'm like, I paid $50 for a yard of this, and we have it for 20. But there's a little sample of that in there. A sample of NFT fur. Again, that's the expensive stuff. I've got some paw pads in there from Dream Vision Creations. That's the stuff that I use. I could do my own. I mean, I can sculpt them into nose and teeth and stuff, but I don't have the time to learn how to work with silicone or resin. And they have perfected it. I mean, they can match colors so perfectly that I just go to that. And then they can custom make anything that I need too. Like I said, I got the bear paw pads and the big cat paw pads from them. They're custom made. And I'm going to, when they're available, I'm going to custom order some, I'm just going to call them general anthro pads, something that's a little more palm-shaped with varied sizes for the fingers. So you got smaller pinkies and stuff. So really, really anthro that would work with any species. So I think that would be cool to have.
Oops.
Oh. Bad horse. There you go. Nope. Okay. This thing looks like a bulldog to me. I'm sorry. I'm just so happy with that one. I mean, I even made the pegs better. These are just like masking tape wrapped pieces of wood, and then those I made actual little nubs. I love earrings. And is there any more questions from another topic? Yeah.
How would you go around making wool?
Wool?
Like a wool texture.
Oh, they've got furs that work with it. I mean, if this is acceptable, this is called Mongolian lamb. So it's kind of woolly texture. They got ones that are tighter curls. There's furs out there. There's a fur called poodle fur. I've got a little bit of a brown, actually. That'd be great for like a ram or a llama. But it's just enough for a head.
Okay.
Yeah?
How do you do scales? Any secrets?
Scales?
Yeah.
Like,
Dragon.
again, the paper clay, but you can't really do them on bodies because that would be too heavy of a water contact. I mean, paper clay can be sealed for quick washing, rain and a quick dry down, but in a washing machine, no, it would come apart. So some things that I've done in the past, and they held up well, but it's considered maybe a little too lowbrow, was foamy sheets, the extra thick kind. You cut those in and you glue them in. I've done fleece belly scales, and I've done pelted mink. If anybody's seen the Chinese dragon, his belly is pelted mink. It has grooves shaved into it. You cut it in half and sew it so the furs are pointing each other, because otherwise you have fur just going left to right and it looks funny. So you need it all going inward, and it looks like scales. And I love it. And I use bubble fur for him. If you guys have seen that dragon, that bubble fur, I've been waiting for years to show that, yes, you can make scales of this. And I finally got the chance, and I've got 2 more chances to do it. I've got a maroon Kirin I'm going to be making soon, and it's a rare maroon bubble fur. And then I've got a white, more Chinese dragon-looking ice Kirin that's still paying me. And so I get to use bubble fur again. I like bubble fur. It breathes, because in between each bubble it's mesh. And as long as you wear a undersuit of the same color as the mesh, you've got breathing holes all throughout your body. Wow. And it's nice, because these things are hot. Yes, the quad suits are even hotter. Look at what you're doing.
Lyra.
You're so graceful. Okay, any more questions?
There's a white piece of material in that box going around. Almost looks like it's from like a bulletproof vest. It's like a mesh.
I think I put a little piece of the buckram in there. That must be what that is. I actually haven't looked at that box since Wednesday, so I kind of forget what I put in it now. Oh, and but I do remember one thing that's in there. The clear domes, the big ones, those are come-apart Christmas ornaments, and that's what her eyes are. And that's what I use for the big ones. And then to make the bolo effect is I just use 2. But what you want to do is for the lens, you want to get one that's bigger than the eye you want, and then you very carefully cut it to make a lens so it's not so bubbly-eyed. And to cut them, I use wire cutters, and you've just got to go slow and careful, and little bits of plastic are going to fly everywhere. And you buy extras because you will sit there and swear as one crack completely down the middle. It just happens. Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about the box. So let's see, I've got, oh no, this is what you're talking about, right? This is belt loop material. So this is a prepared belt loop, only I haven't sealed the ends yet, because I want to show you, see how it's fraying? This is something I learned, that the stitching is not going to be enough to keep this from being catastrophic eventually. It will fray down till your stitching and pull through. You either want to seal this with a lighter or with a hot glue gun on the end to keep this from happening, because it will pull through. Yeah, it just keeps going and going and going and going. These are my toonie teeth. They're vampire fangs. Very simple. This is a piece of the nylon mesh. The buckram's very similar, but this is like a solid black. I forget where I got it. I just bought so much of it 5 years ago that I don't remember where I got it. I just haven't run out yet. The silicone small canine paws. My spoon hoof. A taxiderm jaw set. I don't use these anymore, but they're still acceptable to use. They're a little bit on the heavy side, but Van Dyke sells these. That fur that I can get so cheap now, but I have a ton of it, really expensive, and yeah. Paint pens. Oops. A little piece of normal fur. I like paint pens. These are for white ones for marking on dark fur where you need to put plastic eyes. I don't think anybody's had the problem with U.S. plastic where you get crazy and cracked plastic cracks. I've never had that problem. That could just be my supplier, it could be the paint, I don't know. And, like, if people have looked at, the veins. That's another little trick. You want to know how to do veins? You put down a little blob of paint, and you go, and you pull it back off, and it makes veins. You just got to figure out the amount of paint that you want. It just makes veins. You dab it in, you pull it off, and it makes little crazed veins. You can see the texture on the back where the veins are. And then you want to back it. And in this case, if you hold this one up to the light, it's pretty thin. That's why I like fabric paint, because then you can backlight them with an LED, just like hers. And I like backlighting eyes. Like Dream Vision sells LED eyes, but the LED is in the resin in the front. But I don't like how that looks. When you backlight, you put the LED pointing towards the back of the pupil, blacks it out, and then spreads the light everywhere. And I really like the effect. And it doesn't have that overspill of light where your light
Very
is
cool.
on cheek. Finger nose, a Dream Vision claw. Again, I like their stuff. There's some people out there that seem to have a problem with using parts from other people in their suits. I don't. I'm supporting another person who's living the lifestyle I'm living. And I could do this myself, but I don't want to. Yeah?
What do you do for tongues?
Tongues, it depends. I don't remember who's got a tongue. Like hers, yeah, theirs are foamy sheets, and then you trim the edge so it doesn't have a rough edge. And then I texture it with the same fabric paint to make taste buds. And then you go back over it with a bit of shading to make it look even more real. Yeah, that's how I do tongues. And that way they're flat and they don't inhibit the amount of airflow coming in. Toonie suits, I like to use fleece. It looks more toony. It all depends. I've sometimes done clay, but that's when they want like a really gnarly, snarly tongue. Anything else in here? No, just my nose. Because anybody who's felt this is really light. This is like not even there. I love this stuff. And it's very like I guess since this is an extra, I can show how hard it is to write it. Because again, it's got the see it's bending instead of breaking. So yeah, it's kind of durable. Okay, the tip might actually there. Yeah, so you got to really work it to bust it. It's not going to shatter if you drop it. You've got to catch it and pull it pretty hard. It does happen. My little nub broke. That's because somebody clocked me pretty good, and it broke right there. So I had this little tiny nub that this was staying on, and this fell in the parking lot a few times. Which, since I aged, I added a tong. Now 4 point. Yeah, I love antlers. I have a thing for antlers. Which, this is one of my original beasts. I created these when I was 12. This one species is so inspired by birch trees. I love birch trees. These ones are inspired by my nocturnal habits. One of my other main ones, the ears are like this, but they're pointier like a cat. They still have the same texture inside. He's gray and white. And his name is Nareku. And I've got Marmex and Turin and all kinds of things. I'm never going to finish this dang book. I've got 30 really rough chapters, including sections that say, add this about this here. I'll just never finish it. I thought about putting the rough draft online, but speed up the story. I didn't know what furries were, but I created a world with beasts in it, and then the gods got bored and put beast souls in human bodies and created beast-type humans. So here I am doing furry and otherkin stuff, not even knowing what the hell that is. I was 12. I didn't know what furries were until my 20s. Went to high school with a tail on more than one occasion. All of my Halloween costumes were an animal of some sort. Nobody said anything. And I don't know if it's just because it was the early 2000s and it wasn't known yet, but it seems like once I found the fandom, though, I'm finding people who are being called, the derogatory fur fag, and, for being at all furry in a public location, and it never happened to me. I don't know if it's because Sacramento is a pretty open-minded place, but I almost wish I was called one. Dang it, I would have discovered the fandom sooner. I had no idea that all of these people existed, and even when I did, and I had the same, public thing, it's like, oh, look, these are other people who like animal costumes. All the people who are non-fursuiters are like, every time that pops up. It's like, no, we do art and stuff too, and not everybody has a costume. I didn't know. It's like the Legend of Zelda fans who think that he's named Zelda. I was guilty of that too. Yeah.
This is a total left field question, but I'm honestly curious because when I first started watching the show, I thought of you, and I don't know how they went about finding their people, but did you ever think about trying out for the Jim Henson Creature Shop Challenge?
I thought about it, but I don't play well with others. I would either be like, okay, you can do everything, or I would be the bitch in the corner wanting to do all my own stuff, and they would just, But also, they do some things I haven't done. I haven't really done animatronic work. I kind of got Arcanine to blink. And the way I made the Arcanine quad blink, and if somebody gave me the right mechanics, I'd probably figure it out on my own and no problem, because what I did is I took a dancing gorilla toy, or it sings and dance Valentine thing. gutted it, took its little swinging arm mechanism to pull a string that was connected to the back of the eyelids and opens the eyelids. The problem is, no matter what I did, it would blink fine at first, but then it would go, and then it would sit there with one eye half open. We gutted that out, put a fan in there instead, and she likes that better anyway, so that worked. So I don't know animatronics, and the face-off is also pretty much does everything that I don't do. I don't do prosthetics. I don't do latex, the silicone, things that stick to you. But I do watch both those shows and like them. I haven't finished the Henson one yet, because I just haven't had time.
I've been watching it religiously, and I loved them when they first introduced everybody. They showed some of their previous work, and I'm like, there's some fursuiters in there.
Yeah. But I do like that show, and Henson stuff has been a real inspiration growing up. Dark Crystal is one of my favorite things on the planet. Along with other things, Neverending Story, my dream was to build Falcor. I wanted to get into building Falcor. But I'm still happy with where I'm at, because I'm my own boss. I don't have to collaborate. I don't have really hardcore deadlines like that. And I'm happy. I mean, I thought I would be in special effects. I really appreciate real effects. CGI is okay, but bleh. Like, I watched the behind the scenes on Hellboy. A Seymour the Hellhound thing is an actual quad suit. It's a quad suit. And I was impressed with that. And all the tentacles on its head were animatronic. The guy commented about the people come, oh, how'd you do the CGI on the head? It's like, it's not. They're real. They're moving around. I like real effects. The original Star Wars trilogy. I grew up on something my brothers recorded when Channel 6 or Silver 6 about the making of the Jedi. Loved it. Every moment of watching them build these puppets. And there's 6 people inside of Jabba the Hutt. The one guy's job is just to move the tail. And the other one actually smokes the cigars that comes out the hookah. The dancing thing with the little skinny mouth, and how they had a guy underneath going like this so it would dance, and another one pulling a little cable to make the mouth move, and all of this stuff fascinated me. So I had a lot of inspiration growing up, and it was all these real effects in movies that made me want to build this stuff. I wanted to do it too, and it was awesome, and the CGI's kind of taken over, and it's sad.
Have you seen Men in Suits?
No, I haven't, but I want to, because they're keeping that alive. And it's important. I mean, like people were saying, you know, I watched the thing behind the scenes on E.T., and it's like, E.T.'s there. He's on set. You can touch him, and you grow an affinity for the costume and the puppet work. And, I mean, I'll take you know, the little puppet Yoda over prequel Yoda any day. I mean, that thing was like way crazy. Where have you been? Oh, any more questions? Yes.
This is also kind of bouncing off his comment. Have you heard of amalgamating dynamics?
I don't know about
Aliens versus Predator, Tremors.
Oh yeah, that stuff. Oh yeah, the original Alien. I've seen the Alien. I love Tremors. The first Tremors is great.
I know, right?
I mean, they must have had so much fun sending that thing off the cliff and just filling it with gross stuff when it explodes.
But actually, Alec Gillis did a Kickstarter and funded a solid practical effects film to prove like you don't need computers to make monsters.
Yeah,
You can do it all practical.
I love practical. You could actually walk up and pet Falcor instead of somebody standing there with some blue screen thing to interact with, like Buckbeak. I mean, yeah, it looks cool, but to be honest, I think they had a head at most. But nah. But it seems like the practical effects have been reduced down to B movies. I watched something called Sabretooth, and it was kind of awful because while the animatronic head was great, it was a whole different color from their CGI for the rest of the movie. And I was like, why? It turned into B movie stuff, and that's not cool. I mean, the original Alien was awesome. That thing is there, in your face, dripping drool with the little mouth coming out. It's just like... So you have a bit of a more real feel. Or even the opposite spectrum, Big Bird. I love Big Bird. Imagine a CGI Big Bird. No. And it's like again, since I'm into this business, I know some background stuff on all the other things, like that Big Bird travels first class, hung in a bag above the seat, because feathers are individually placed. And it's that hard to do them. And the guy it's the same puppeteer, he's been doing it, he's training some other people. He's inside with one arm in, one arm like this, and then he's got a camera he looks down at, and the other arm is just rigged to swing a little when this one moves. And he does the voice and everything. And it's awesome. I freaking love Big Bird. He's my favorite, puppet costume. Just because of that child nostalgia. My favorite puppet costumes ever are the Mystics from Dark Crystal. I love those.
Yeah.
I want to make one. The Henson thing did the Skeksis.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. I actually like the desert one the most. I don't know why they didn't. Yeah, that one. That one. That movie. I mean, it's like that movie's like, oh, it's too dark for kids, and I grew up on it. I love that thing.
What do you think of Labyrinth?
Labyrinth, I unfortunately didn't get to see till I was in full. So it doesn't have the nostalgic value, but I do like it too. It seems more Henson-y though. Like Dark Crystal is almost left field. It's just such a hardcore, like darker story, whereas that one still has the lighthearted Muppet feel.
Yeah.
My brothers are much older than me, and they went to see it as little kids. And when the Skeksis Emperor crumbled apart, my one brother cried. You know, Labyrinth doesn't make you cry. If anything, it does scare you a little. I heard a lot of people as kids didn't like the things that take their heads off and throw them around. But I still do love that movie. Anything
Falling down
Henson.
the hole with the hands in it.
So any others, like, anything else? Because we're just about out of time. We'll probably meet in the hallway for depending on the crowd, it would either be a hallway or headless to try stills. I can't be careful. Yeah?
Actually,
Oh yeah, like he was saying, practice makes perfect. I started with Shoebox Dragon. He was a shoebox. Yeah.
Have you ever experimented with putting some sort of safety straps so those can't flip over?
Oh, this isn't finished. The fur will do that.
Oh.
I lift yours up again. Furs only go a certain amount. See. These ones don't yet. So I got to be careful. Just not to that stage yet, because if they had fur on them, you wouldn't be able to see how they look. But even I can do them too. So you just gotta be careful, unless you want to let people try yours. But yours are sweaty. Never mind. So again, just a few steps to see if you think you can handle the pose. It's the most, or even just stand there and see. It's like, oh, can you stand like that for an hour? Can you move like that for an hour?
And I have a comment. You are using these at your own risk. There has been reports of people breaking their arms.
Not from me. Not from anything I made. But was it you that said that someone who broke an arm in a quad suit?
Yeah, it was a homemade thing.
They made it themselves and they broke their arm in it.
What happened was that they had the handle set too high, so it was right here.
Yeah, so in that case, they didn't have the pipe go up high enough, so it was sitting on the pressure point in your weak wrist. And then she landed wrong and broke her arm.
Oh.
So that's why these come up to your elbow. So you're nice and secure. I haven't almost to your elbow yet.
I've got pictures of people riding shuttles on his back.
Uh-huh. He likes giving rides.
Very heavy, man.
Yeah, you should have seen the field. It was awesome. Just plain people walking by and they're getting on his back. It was incredible. Kids loved it.
He's one of my favorites just because he looks so real. He's a real little baby mammoth walking around. And elephant bodies are perfectly shaped for a quad suit. Pachyderms make good quad suits. I'd make another one of him, but it's going to be at least 6,000 this time. He got lucky. I think yours was not even 3 or close to it.
It's about 3.
It's about 3, so yeah.
Wow.
He's the lucky bastard who got the cheap one.
Lady, I hate to be the one, but it's my duty. We're going to have to wrap these up.
Okie dokie.
So, let's give it up for Beastcub. Yeah.